Welcome to Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Too often there's a breakdown between marketing and sales. So how can dealerships bridge that gap? Joining us now to share her insights is someone who lives this every single day. Marianna Varela, who is the marketing director of All Star Auto Group. Thank you so much for joining us, Marianna. This is a real challenge, and I know that trying to make all these general managers happy and these sales managers happy, being a marketing director over the number of stores that you are, cannot be an easy task, right?
It's not, but I think that the key thing is communication and staying in contact with everyone, making sure that they're delivering feedback from their experiences on the floor, and us tailoring, what we're doing on the marketing side to support, their needs and keeping them really involved in just strategy, vendor meetings and things like that. That way they're invested in the outcomes.
Sure. So many times we'll hear sales departments say that there is a disconnect sometimes between the marketing department and the sales department. Why do you think the handoff between marketing and sales is such a major kind of a breaking point there, or I should say maybe a breakdown?
So I think that every organization is different. You've got some where you have a marketing person that works at each store. And I would say the breakdown there may be a little bit smaller, but there's some caveats to that, and I'll circle back to it. And then when you have bigger groups, you have people who are wearing a lot of hats. Like in my case, we're tailoring messages for, 4 different OEMs. And, in some cases, those OEMs have multiple brands. So there's just a lot going on. And so we're really busy. Sometimes it's hard to communicate with them. And it's certainly hard to be involved with the sales teams and the people on the front lines and get that message to trickle down all the way to them. But one thing is it's extremely important to realize how important that is, because the messaging that we're putting out, ultimately, they're the people who are having conversations with the people who come in off of those messages. And a lot of the times they don't even know what we're running. They're the least informed, and in some cases, the least experienced and the least trained. So we've made it a really, really big concentration effort here recently, really, to bridge the gap between the two, and become more involved in training and in processes, because we bring them leads that they don't even understand what button a customer clicked to come to us. So we're the most informed to do training with the sales teams. And I think it's just natural. We're all busy, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's so important to have that training, because I know that when I was, running stores, oftentimes the salesperson would run up to the tower or to the desk and say, "Are we running this special? Is it really $399 for F-150 or whatever the case might be?" And you see the customer standing there like, how come this individual does not know this? Why are they brand new to the specials that are taking place, whether it be on TV or online or whatever the case might be, right? So the training is a great idea.
So one thing that we do that I've actually put together presentations for all of my stores. So I've got 3 stores that are geographically close to where I live. So I can go into those stores and I can meet with my new salespeople. And I have a lot of interaction with the sales managers there. And I've got 3 that are further away. And equally, those are bigger stores where I have an internet director who I can meet with and work closely with. But one of the things that we do is, once we put together all of the content and the creative and the messaging that's going to go out on email blasts, across Google, on television, we give the sales teams, kind of a little cheat sheet. But we also put presentations together and we update them as we change vendors and third parties and things like that, with an explanation of who they are, where they come from. And one thing that we've also done on the marketing side is we've put in corresponding templates for each different kind of lead source. And I always tell the guys, I know we don't like templates because sometimes they can seem kind of robotic. And I tell them, use your best judgment. Every lead is different. Sometimes there's customer comments that come in, but consider the source, and the most important thing is to pick up the ball where the customer dropped it and take them forward in the sales process. Don't respond to a lead and say, hey, I'm Joe Blow at All Star Ford. How can I help you?
Yeah.
They'll told you how you can help them, and that's to give them more information.
That's right.
So a person who is giving them something new.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. What role do CRMs and automation play in your current strategy? You just touched on a few, but that's really what it's all about today, right?
Yes. I mean, 100%. So what I always tell the guys is, if you guys aren't giving me good information in the CRM, I don't have a clear picture or, anything, clear data to make my marketing decisions off of.
Right.
And beyond that, so in CRMs, I track closing ratios. If someone's at a 5% closing ratio and our industry standard is, 10, 12, and that's pretty achievable.
Sure.
Don't come to me and ask me to give you more leads if you guys aren't properly handling the ones that you're already getting.
Right.
So your original question was around, tell me one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just around the automation and CRMs. When we talk to so many managers of dealerships, they'll tell us that the CRM is not being utilized 100% of the time, and the information in there isn't always accurate or up to date or good, clean data. So, but it could be, if it was utilized more, that's just a great marketing tool, right, for the dealership.
Yes. So, there's a couple things. Like, one of them is tailoring your cadences or your processes within your CRM to each lead source, right? Because every lead source is different, and like the sales funnel is pretty long. One lead source may have customers that are a little bit higher funnel, and another may have, they may be stock number specific leads where that customer has identified a vehicle on their lot that they're interested in. And so the process behind making contact with those customers is different. But when it comes, so of course in automation, that's setting up a process, and that's just tasks that are being generated at different intervals. Manager intervention at certain points, because everybody likes to hear from a manager.
Yeah.
So when it comes to automation, we have some AI that we're currently using and kind of like improving upon. That's been pretty helpful, both in the time frame between lead submission and the sale, and then even after the sale for like customer retention. But using our reports, pulling ROI reports, auditing how many leads we're getting, both from all three main sources. You have your internet leads, you have your lot ups, and you have your phone ups.
Right.
And those should all kind of be nested within a main lead source.
Okay.
But beyond that, whenever it comes to maintenance hygiene, it's making sure that our salespeople understand the importance of not just telling me it's a walk-in and that the subsource is a walk-in. Interview that customer and ask them, okay, hey, where'd you find me? And you know what? Tell you, I saw you on the internet. Well, that's not very specific. Did you Google, the specific model that you were interested in? Were you shopping on a third party? It's a little bit of an interview process. And I know it's, for some people, I don't want to say overwhelming, but like they just really don't understand the importance. But I just have to drill that in my manager's head and tell them like that just needs to be a repetitive conversation. And on my side, and I'm monitoring that all the time. And if I don't see thorough information input, then I'm on their behind, every week we have these discussions.
I bet. And it is important information for you to know. Are there any marketing channels that you think are underutilized right now in retail automotive?
Well, that's a deep question. I wouldn't say that there are any that are underutilized, because I think that we kind of have a set of best practices, and most of our OEMs assist us in this. Ford has Ford Direct, and they're in constant contact with us. Honda has a digital performance manager that's auditing my website. She's auditing our leads and our closing ratios. So I think we're all kind of doing the same thing. And with AI, I guess you could kind of consider that a channel, because it's kind of taking, our database, for example, and it's kind of like bucketing or segmenting our customers and doing like tailored marketing to those different buckets. So that could be underutilized because people don't quite understand it. And it hasn't evolved to what I think it needs to evolve into for automotive
Mm-hmm.
because it's so new. So I would say, maybe like the AI products that can really help us do our jobs a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because, looking at a CRM for a salesperson, that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, what am I looking at? What's all here? So I think that that's where AI can step in.
Sure. What KPIs, in fact, are or metrics are you paying the most attention to when evaluating marketing effectiveness?
So obviously closing ratios,
Hmm.
and then auditing like individual lead channel closing ratios because they're all different.
Hmm.
Your website leads are going to close at a higher rate than maybe, your subprime leads.
Right.
If you have that. But, looking at a team perspective of your closing ratios
Hmm.
and then also looking at individuals because that can point you towards some of your overachievers who can maybe like step in and help some of your people who aren't doing so well. We are monitoring like outbound communication both by call and text.
Hmm.
We've kind of set objectives there because you of course have like your new leads that are coming in and a process of content beyond
Hmm.
contact beyond that. But you also have your sold customers who you have to stay in contact with.
Right.
So
Right.
if you just tell them, hey, just complete your task, all they're going to do is probably call the people who are like active leads.
Yeah.
So we're monitoring appointment set rates.
Hmm.
We're monitoring show rates
Okay.
on those appointments that are set. Um, and I think that those are two different but
Yeah.
very important things that can also point our sales managers towards who needs help.
Yeah. Do you guys have a centralized BDC for all of the stores, or does each store have its own BDC?
So with our group, what we've had the most success with, and I know again, every organization is different and what works for them is different.
Yeah.
But at our bigger stores, we have an internet manager who kind of oversees that department
Hmm.
and he works with their sales teams. But ultimately, our salespeople at all of our stores are the people who make first contact.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
and yes,
Okay.
and I have a few reasons for that.
Hmm.
And this is like a hot topic in automotive because I know a lot of the old school guys are set the appointment, get them in the store. And I
That's right.
understand that. But in 2025, we are researchers. We
Yeah.
have all the information at our fingertips to shop, and we are researching before we're making a decision.
Right.
And a lot of the times we have to nudge that customer along and give them a little bit of something, or at least give them what they're asking for
Yeah.
before they're comfortable making a decision and coming into the dealership.
That's
And
right.
that's one of the things that, I fight with some of my sales managers, some of my older, more traditional
Yep.
thinking sales managers. Because I'm like, guys, like it's 2025, like we've got information and you need to give them what they're asking for. So
That's right. That's right. I was trained in the business a long time ago, and I'm one of those individuals that you're talking about that says, just set the appointment, get them in. But I know that that doesn't work today because, to your point, it is 2025. Consumers want more information than ever before they make that commitment to come into the store. And in fact, they want a lot of information. They want really almost all of the information. And so that when they come to the store, they come for the affirmation and confirmation of the car and the deal. But they almost want the deal over the phone right now, or at least emailed to them or text to them, right?
yeah, and I know that there is a little bit of a balancing act there where you want to give
Sure.
enough information to, hook them and bring them in,
Right.
but not too much to where they're turned off in any regard. So
Yeah.
back to your original question, that is why I have my salespeople, handle their internet leads because they have more product knowledge than a, traditional BDC person does
Sure.
who's trying to just set the appointment.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting that you say that because it's so true. Customers today, they want as much information as they can possibly get. And then of course salespeople are also concerned with the fact that give that customer enough information and they start to shop you before ever coming into the store. They'll call you your competitor and what's your best number and what kind of a trade allowance can I get and what have you. But it's kind of the way things are today, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's why people, or I say people, salespeople need to work hard at, delivering some good information. I love walk around videos, and I tell them if a customer clicks a button, check availability or get more information, they've already seen pictures. They may have read through the specs, but not fully like comprehended what those specs are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, outside, do a walk around video, point out the
very good idea.
That a customer tends to like or enjoy having,
Sure.
and then let them hear your voice. It creates a psychological connection to you.
That's
and if
right.
they've identified a vehicle at multiple different dealerships and you're the one who's given them something like progressive and like, man, this is cool, I got this video, like I hear their voice, like they're going to come to you if they're shopping at 3 dealerships with identical vehicles.
That's
Granted,
right.
as long as the pricing is in line, but you have to do something like that's above and beyond to build that rapport, over the computer.
Yeah, so. For sure. How is business at your group today?
It's good. I think that we, during the most recent months where we've had, kind of like the uncertainty around tariffs and like how that was going to affect vehicle prices, and ultimately sales and like what that's going to do for our industry, we decided we needed to regain control over our databases. We have all of these sold customers, these service customers who already have a relationship with us, who are probably not getting contacted just because there's a lot of turnover in automotive.
That's right.
If I sell 200 cars and I quit tomorrow and they reassign my leads, is the next guy who gets them going to contact them?
That's right.
Not unless you're telling them to.
Yeah.
And you tell them, look, this isn't a cold call. This is somebody we already know. We already have a relationship with. Call and introduce yourself as the new point of contact and say, hey, I'm here to help you with anything sales related, anything service related. So we've had a big movement on regaining control of our database and like calling those orphans. And we're monitoring that from, a managerial level. And I think that that's been really helpful in bringing in supplemental sales during a time where people are kind of holding off and they're waiting to see what's going to happen.
Sure. So it's a great idea, and you're right. There's a big turnover, and those customers aren't being called. First party data in a dealership is gold right now, right? And if you're not calling on them, chances are your competition is probably finding a way to communicate with those customers that are actually your customers in your database that your people should be contacting, right?
Exactly. And that's another form of marketing, It's marketing to our current customers. So, it's doing emails to let them know like what's going on. It's doing, AI stuff where we're sending out tailored communications to those customers based on, what they purchased in the past. And then it's doing like even more tailored messaging to that customer if they engage with those communications that are going out.
Sure.
So it's definitely another facet of like what we do in marketing.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, you guys are doing a great job. So Marianna Varela, Marketing Director for All Star Auto Group, thank you so much for stopping by CBT News. I know that our viewing audience of dealers and other marketing managers will get a lot out of your visit with us. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.